So now that we've taken a look at some of the control statements to modify your program's execution, let's take a look at a way that we can model our program's behavior in more of a symbolic format. And we're going to do that with flowcharts. And a flowchart is nothing more than a pictorial representation of your logic. And you can think of this as a way to turn your pseudocode into pictures. You use this to describe your program's behavior in a easy to read and understand way. And there's only a couple of key symbols that you need to remember, so it's really easy. First, we're going to use a rectangle for any type of sequential blocks of code that do not involve decision making. And this includes print, input, and assignment operations. Now, a diamond represents choices that a program makes, and this includes if statements and loop conditions. And finally, we have an arrow that simply connects these two together, showing the direction of program flow. And finally, every flowchart is supposed to have one starting point and ending point. So you can see here we have the two arrows at the top and the bottom represent our start and our finish. Let's take a look at a simple example of a flowchart in use. First, I want you to write some pseudocode for a program that prompts the user to input a salary for a chief executive officer, or a CEO as they're known. If the salary is greater than $500,000, the program will cut the salary in half and output the new salary. Because, they don't need to be paid that much. So go ahead, pause the video, think about it, write this out in pseudocode. Okay. You should have gotten something similar to this. If you didn't, take a look at what you got and see where you went wrong, but this is what we're going to be using. Now, how would we represent this as a flowchart? Well, you should get something like this. Notice how each block corresponds to a line in our pseudocode. Now, this isn't always the case. Your blocks may represent consecutive statements, but the statements should be grouped together in a logical fashion and must be contiguous, meaning one right after the other. For example, we could group the first two statements together and simply say prompt for CEO salary. Finally, notice how the beginning arrow defining the starting point and the end arrow defines the end point. You can also see how the no portion of the if statement skips the two blocks and reconnects at the end of the program. Now, flow of control is an important concept to keep in mind. It's the order in which a program's statements are executed. And there are three main statement types based on their flow of control: sequential, branching, and loops. Sequential statements are those that are executed one after the next. And branching are those that force the program to execute one section of the code, such as if statements. And loop statements cause the program to return to a previous line of code already executed. And of the three, we haven't discussed loops yet, so let's go ahead and take a look at those now.